Hello, everybody, and welcome to our only matinee event for the Delaware Shakespeare Mostly Virtual Festival. We are here today for Selena and Greg Get Engaged. So say hello to who are now Greg and Selena Robleto. Hi, friends.
Hello.
Hello.
So obviously you guys got engaged and you're still married, so it wasn't a disaster to get proposed at Delaware Shakespeare Festival. Is that correct?
That has worked out so far. Yes, indeed.
Great. Well, we appreciate you guys being with us today. And we're going to today hear all about this, what I think is the only proposal that I know of that happened at Delaware Shakespeare Festival. What was when you proposed Delaware Shakespeare Festival, I then ruined it all by taking away the festival. And now we're just Delaware Shakespeare. But we do want to thank everyone for joining us. And the whole point of this mostly virtual festival is, since we can't bring our summer festival to you this year at Rockwood Park, the virtual festival hopes to celebrate all the things that you love about seeing Shakespeare under the stars. And one of those things is romance. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight with Selena and Greg. We do want to thank Jansen's Market for being the lead sponsor of the Mostly Virtual Festival, and our honorary producer, Laurel A. Regal. We also need to thank the Delaware Division of the Arts for their year-round support, and some COVID-19 emergency funding that we've received from the National Endowment for the Arts, the Delaware Humanities, and Delaware Community Foundation. And if you are enjoying these mostly virtual festival events, we invite you to make a donation at delshakes.org. So, well, let's set the scene first, Selena and Greg. Can you guys both just give us your Del Shakes credentials?
Sure. I've been with Del Shakes since the beginning. I was there for the first show that we did way back when, Midsummer Night's Dream. Performed in that as well. That then turned over to being the managing director for a number of years, and turned that over shortly before this story is going to begin.
Yeah. And I was working with the Delaware Shakespeare Festival because I think Greg pulled me in, and and so I was the marketing director at the time. I'm the graphic designer, and I worked on the programs, and I actually designed the brand for the Delaware Shakespeare Festival.
What we call Billy Bob is a Selena creation right there. Cool. Great. So the proposal happened the first year that we were at Rockwood Park, fourth year for the company overall. So it was 2006. But just set the scene for yourselves. How did you all meet, and how long had you been dating before this Del Shakes proposal happened?
Well, we were actually together for a really long time before the proposal happened, about 7 years. And I think during that time we were mostly long distance, and the proposal came at a time that was like a year after we had finally moved in together, and we had finally felt more stable in our relationship physically because of distance.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
We met at University of Delaware. We both went there. I worked with H-Tech. She worked with E52. They were rivals. It had a bit of a Romeo and Juliet in a real geeky theater kind of way.
If you don't know, folks, those are two of the student theater groups at University of Delaware. I was not aware that there was a deathly rivalry between the two, but I learned something out every day.
At the time there was, but so this was like a forbidden romance.
And Selena moved to Rockville, Maryland, just outside of DC after college. I stayed up in Wilmington, Delaware, got involved with Delaware Shakespeare Festival, and we dated all the while. And then right around 2005, turning to 2006, and made the choice to move in together, and I moved down to Rockville, Maryland with her. And this this festival, when this happened, was the first festival after we had moved in together. So it was about 6 months after we had moved in together.
Cool. So when did you know that? So first off, I realized that our marketing was incorrect. I think marketing's always lies, right, Selena? You just make stuff up. But I think in our marketing for this talk tonight, we were like, Greg proposed to Selena on opening night of Much Ado About Nothing, but it was not opening night. It was later in the run. But it was still during Much Ado About Nothing. So what was the formulation of the plan? Why not just propose one morning at breakfast? Why at Delaware Shakespeare Festival?
That's a great question. A great answer for it. It's just one of those things. It was just a nexus of a few things. I was ready to propose. I'd already gotten a ring. I had gotten your dad's permission, and I was working with a Shakespeare festival that was performing on stage and at the same time. So those two ideas just melded in my head as this is a perfect opportunity. I was the one who did what you do now, David. I got up in front of the crowd before the show and thanked the sponsors and just gave some information and stuff. And I thought, what if I could just weave into that a proposal? And then I came up with a very ornate plan to make that happen.
Yeah, so I will admit, so I was in Much About Nothing. I was Don Pedro in that year, and I remember you guys getting proposing. I didn't remember that it was like a 10-minute pre-show curtain speech. I was rewatching the video of it to prepare for this interview, and I was like,
yeah.
what were we doing backstage? Did they call places and we just all were standing there for like 8 minutes while this happened?
Yeah.
Like a Super Bowl halftime show.
I mean, I could tell you that from my side, that, you know, Greg had said, oh, I need you to get up on stage and say a few words. And I'm like, why? You know, I'm marketing. I don't feel like I should, you know, and I really don't like public speaking at all, which is weird that I was in theater. And so he said, oh no, you got to talk about the program and, you know, like, you know, what you've done and all that. And I don't even know what I was like saying during that, because I was just like rambling on. And I was like, I really don't know why I'm up here. I don't know why I'm like talking about these things at all.
Well, it was all a ruse, and to the detriment of the 300 people who were there and all of you actors backstage waiting. The entirety of the 10-minute preamble was just so that Selena would be on the stage for the purpose of proposing. And she wasn't the only one. I actually set two other people up there so that she wouldn't catch wind of what was going on. So actually 3 people gave very drawn out, lengthy speeches for no good reason, just so Selena could be on the stage.
Yeah, so I have the YouTube video all queued up here. I'm just gonna play like the first minute or so when you start your pre-show speech, and then drag those 3 unwilling participants on the stage.
Gentlemen, welcome to the 2006 Delaware Shakespeare Festival. My name is Greg Robleto. I am the managing director of this company, and we're delighted to have you here tonight. We'd like to thank all of our donors, our patrons, and our volunteers for being here this evening. You were the ones who make this possible, and we are very excited to be bringing this show to you this evening. As many of you know, and I think it was brought up before, this is going to be our first show here at Rockwood. This is Much Ado About Nothing will be the first show that the Delaware Shakespeare Festival will be presenting here. And while the actors are getting in place and everybody's getting set and they're about to bring you this exciting show tonight, I'm going to bring a few people up right now. And we wanted to talk about a few more firsts that have happened through the years of Delaware Shakespeare Festival. Oh, come on up here. Behind the mic. This here is Bob Cahill, Joe Burke, and Selena Kang.
So yeah, so the root.
Rockwood or Rockford, because it was our first year there. You could hear me pause in the middle of that. Or welcome to Rockwood.
Yeah, so so we already did a pre-show comedy thing that night, and then you brought up these 4 people who each were going to talk about something that first happened in one of those first years of the festival.
Right.
So that was the beginning of this epic proposal. But let's back. Who was there that night? And how did you get people there? And how did you not let Selena? Well, first off, did you know anything was up, Selena?
Oh my gosh. Not at all. Not in the slightest. I think I was really nervous. You can tell in the video that Greg was really nervous too, because he had something in store. I had no clue whatsoever. It's funny because, you know, when you get to the actual proposal, I was just so shocked and so surprised that I didn't even answer Greg right away. I mean, I just started crying right then and there, and I think that was the first time it crossed Greg's mind that I could have said no.
That is true.
Yeah. I did notice that you just kind of kissed him. You didn't like give him an answer. There's just a kiss there.
It
But
never occurred to me that she might say no, and the ramifications to the show that was about to go on, if she did.
All right, now enjoy this romantic comedy.
Well, I will say so. I did not propose to my wife at Delaware Shakespeare, but Michelle and I met at Delaware Shakespeare, and I had a similar when I did propose. She just said, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh," and I was like, "Uh-oh." she might say no. That's a horrifying moment.
You know, it like looking back on it now, it was funny because I remember that day specifically. I was getting ready to throw on my, Delaware Shakespeare Festival t-shirt because, particularly in those first few years, aside from being the marketing person or graphic design person, everybody wears so many hats, and so you're really out there too. And so one day I'm setting up chairs, and one day I'm tearing tickets when the actual festival is happening. So it's hot, it's sweaty, and I was getting ready to throw on my t-shirt, and Greg was like, "Well, don't you want to wear a dress today?" And I was like, "I don't think so." And he said, "You should really wear a dress today." And I was like, "Okay."
And that's really out of character.
It is really out of character. And I was like, I guess I'll just wear this one. Because, I had been wearing Delaware Shakespeare Festival t-shirts like all week. And he's like, "Don't you want to iron the dress?" I said, "Do you iron dresses?"
Okay. I don't know. I was very nervous the whole time. Really for about a week leading up to it. I think I had the idea, and I think I first talked to our stage manager, Lauren Wright, and I said, "I have this idea. I want to do this. You need to know, your stage manager, you need to know if I'm going to take over the stage for this. What do you think of this?" And she thought it was brilliant. I think she was okay. She was on board. She liked the subterfuge of it. And so between the two of us, we started to figure out when to do it and how. I started to write this elaborate concept of firsts that happen, where the last first would be the first proposal on stage as well. Had to involve a couple other people, and try to make it something that a lot of our close friends would share it as well. Mm-hmm. So you were asking, were there other people there? We tried to, your dad could not make it, which was so like one of the things that just didn't work out. Last minute, he couldn't make it. My dad did come all the way from Florida.
Yeah.
So he knew. My mom was coming anyway, so we didn't tell her. I don't think we told my brother, who was going to be there anyway. Joe, who was the second guy to speak, did know because he was the one holding the ring for the duration of the speeches, so that I didn't have it on me. Because for whatever reason, I just was sure Selena was like so clued in and was about to figure it out. And so I put so much detail into trying to hide this, way over engineering the entire event.
So Selena, when you realized all those people were there, well, did you realize that all these people were there that night before the proposal?
I had no idea. Oh. I had no idea that Greg had somehow been able to orchestrate all that, and he got my two very best friends to come up as well, and they were also there that night, and they just sprung out of like the woodwork. I felt like after that happened, and I was like, oh my goodness, that they were there too. So yeah, it's something I feel like that has grown more special as it's gone on, because he was able to get my two best friends there, and Lauren and your best friend Duke and Joe, we're all still very, very, they're all still our best friends to this day. So it was really special that they were all there,
Cool. Well, yeah, one of my favorite moments of the video is the moment where Greg gets the ring from from Joe. So Bob Cahill talks first and talked about what happened in the first year, and then Joe talked about what happened in the second year, and then Greg introduces Selena, and then as Selena starts talking, Greg totally upstages her by doing this do-si-do to get the ring. So we're just gonna look really quickly at this moment where. So pay no attention to Selena talking. Pay attention to Greg and Joe trying to get the ring.
In 2005, the show was Love, Labor's Lost. And Selena Kang, you were at every production of Love, Labor's Lost.
I was.
What do you remember about that show?
Well, in 2005 at Love Labor's Lost, the first show orientation happened, which you guys just saw with David Scratty and Patrick Seiler. Provided a lot of insight and they took questions from the audience.
And then back to cool as a cucumber. Like, I've got it. Nothing. Yeah. So Selena, you were just up there saying this. Greg told you had to come up and talk about what happened during that Love's Labor's Lost. So Greg, while she is talking and talking about what happened during Love's Labor's Lost, you got the ring. What were you waiting for then?
I guess for her to finish, because I'm not exactly sure what she was saying or why she was saying it. Selena was not the best representative of Love's Labor's Lost. The director of the show, my brother, was right there. But so mostly once she was done, I was going to introduce here is one more first that you guys are experiencing in real time. A first at Delaware Shakespeare, and this will be the first proposal on stage, or something to that effect, I believe I said. And so I think I was just waiting for that and trying to get up the nerve to just go through with this.
So Selena, when you were talking and Greg was ignoring you, when did you start to realize something might be up?
Oh my goodness. I actually didn't realize it until the moment Greg turned to me and started getting down on his knee. It really took me that long to realize something was up, and it was getting emotional now.
Yeah.
But
My mom tells me she picked it up a few seconds before that. Remember, I said she did not know. So there's a preamble there where I start telling Selena how much she means to me and she said she yelled out to her crowd that he's gonna propose.
So everyone finished their little preambles and they started to leave, and then you kind of pulled Selena back. And we'll watch the final few fateful moments here before Greg gets down on his knee.
At that time, we have seen some joyous celebrations and we have seen some tragic losses. And through all of that, we shared it together. And we shared everything, especially our hearts. I love you. And if you will have me.
And then you go running into the house at Rockwood Park.
We actually ran through the house, and on the other side, we had people waiting with champagne. And the family, the friends who had come up, actually, sorry to the cast and the crew and everyone who worked hard, but they all ditched and came around to the other side of the house and spent the first act toasting and celebrating, and then went back and watched the second half of the show.
Well, it's an old play. People know how it goes. So. Well, I do think this will, I'm hoping if anybody who's watching, if anybody else got engaged at Delaware Shakespeare, please let us know. We'd love to know about those things. I do know there's people that always come like on their anniversary to Del Shakes, but I don't know about other people who have actually gotten proposed, who have gotten proposed there. there's certainly a lot of relationships that have started at Delaware Shakespeare. But that was, and I'll tell you, there's still donors, there's still audience members that will come up to me and say, I was there the night that Greg and Selena got engaged. So it is definitely a part of Del Shake's lore. So I would ask, just kind of looking back, what you guys are both still such huge supporters of Del Shakes and still, and intimately involved, but what does Del Shakes mean to you guys now in as far as your relationship goes? Knowing that's where the proposal happened. How do you guys think about Del Shakes now when you think about your relationship?
Well, I feel like it has evolved so much throughout our relationship as something we were both so actively involved in, and and just the part it's played in our lives has changed a lot, and I feel like we just see this as something that we're extremely proud of.
Just like the relationship has matured and changed over time, so as a relationship with Del Shakes, one of the key things it does now is we have two children, two lovely girls, ages 10 and 8, and they have been attending the festival their entire lives. We've had them in baby baskets there, telling them to please be quiet. Actors are performing. And they know no different. Just going to Delaware Shakespeare is just something you do during the summer. That's just part of growing up for them. Shakespeare is just interwoven into that. And one of the main things it does now is they're getting to an age to appreciate it, and we can have conversations about it. And so I guess it took a very micro turn from going from the macro beginnings of trying to build this thing to share with all of Delaware. Now we are sharing it with our family and being able to just have that moment to enjoy Shakespeare together and introduce it to this next generation, which is really special.
And do your kids know that's where Daddy proposed to Mommy, or?
I don't really feel like our kids have that many questions about our lives. They're not really interested. So I'm not sure if they ever knew that's
They think of Del Shakes more as the place where their Uncle Jeff invited them onto the stage to pick the T-shirt winner. That's the more special presence of the stage for them than anything Mommy and Daddy ever did there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a brilliant opportunity, Greg, for me to pitch the fact that we have a very special 2020 Del Shakes T-shirt this year that you can buy on the Del Shakes website. It's got a lovely image of Shakespeare with a mask and a great quote from Much Ado About Nothing, in fact. Yeah, as much as we love romance at Delaware Shakespeare, we also love T-shirts. So is there, as you look back on that night, is there any, besides the fact that Greg proposed, is there any kind of moment that really stands out to you more than any other moments as you look back on it?
There are things that I think we still laugh about now, or we still talk about now. Your best friend, Duke Cahill, was in the play too, right? And he was backstage, and I think he had no idea. And right before Greg was about to go on, he goes, "Yo, man, what are you doing? This is like real bro-y," sort of.
Go
and
on.
He's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And he's like, what was the exact quote?
Go on. You'll tell it better.
Something like, I hope you know what you're doing. And like in Hollywood movie style, Greg turned around and said, "Oh, this will be my finest moment." So I think we still laugh about that. And like I said, they're all still our best friends to this day. And so, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think one thing that stands out for me that was unexpected was a sense of relief, both of being done, because it was a lot to orchestrate, but then also, as we talked about before, that there was that moment of dread, that one small moment of dread of, uh-oh, what if I just did something horribly wrong and embarrassed Selena and myself and the festival, and then that fleetingly went away when you were on board, said yes, gave me a kiss, and just knew that this was going right. And so there was also relief that this all went to plan. And it did. It all really did go as planned. And couldn't have been happier with how it turned out.
And is there a line from Much Ado About Nothing that you think of when you think of that proposal?
Is it the?
That was a trick question. I didn't prep you on this one.
Isn't there the Benedict line? Does he say, "For which of my bad parts did you first fall in love?"
I think the one we still use the most is "Nobody marks you."
See, I was going to go with "We are the only love gods." I thought that might be what you put up, but nobody marks you.
That would have been a better answer.
Nobody marks you. That's probably better. Better advice, you know. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your story with us tonight. And really, any viewers out there, if you've had great romantic moments at Del Shakes, whether it's a proposal or meeting somebody, we'd love to know about that. We think love and romance is a big part of the summer festival, and the fact that it's cheap. It's a cheap date, right? So you can do that. So our mostly virtual festival continues for another weekend after this one. Tomorrow we've got our second Family Sunday happening at 5 o'clock. So tune in for Cassie Alexander reading another great Shakespeare-inspired children's book. And then join us next weekend for our last weekend of activities for this mostly virtual festival. And again, if you are enjoying these programs, we invite you to donate to Del Shakes at delshakes.org. Any final romantic words, Selena and Greg?
Only that this was the being able to weave together something I was really passionate about, building up this festival, and someone I am still really passionate about in just building a life with Selena, and putting those two, just having the nexus of them cross in this moment, and having it recorded so I can still remember it and see it again in all the embarrassment it provides us. But just one of those moments of our lives, and I'm so just so grateful that it worked out so well.
Yeah,
and that you said yes.
Continuing it, and being able to pass it down to our kids, and introducing them to really great Shakespeare, and that it's just always going to be a part of their lives, is just something that's really important to us. So.
Cool.
Thank you, David, for this opportunity to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we should, by the way, credit Judith Cahill for the video, right? That was a big production there. So we thank Judith Cahill for capturing this for you all.
Indeed.
Well, great to see you guys. Thanks for sharing your story. And one of these summers, we'll be out there again.